Emily Apple, Val Swain, both join us from the United Kingdom. Emily Apple is a single mom from Cornwall, down on the coast there, arrested by police August 8th, 2008, along with her photographer, Val Swain, mother of three, for asking police officers their badge numbers as they were up videotaping the citizens to put them in databases. The reason we have this now is The Guardian has obtained the police footage of Fit Watch members, Emily Apple and Val Swain, being arrested by surveillance officers from the Forward Intelligence Team, FIT, after asking for their badge numbers at the King's North Climate Camp last year. They're supposed to wear their badge numbers, just like we have laws here that say that. Because we don't have secret police in England and the United States, supposedly. But I've seen this in the U.S. before. When people ask for their badge numbers, you get beat down quite a bit. Now, we've all seen the footage of the EMT being choked. And normally when you choke somebody, it's like waterboarding. It creates a panic response because the oxygen stops going. You can see her really, really choking her. And this is what they do now. They call it pain compliance. In fact, I forgot to tell you guys, cue up to the extras from martial law where they're actually breaking the arms of protesters and choking them. I want to show people torture. Because, see, it's official policy, and federal courts have ruled in the U.S. that they can torture you. They call it pain compliance. So when they come out on the news and say torture Abu Ghraib people or torture people at Camp X-Ray, this is policy. In fact, federal courts have ruled, state courts have ruled, they can taser you to answer questions or taser you to give a urine sample. Remember that 2 weeks ago? In fact, we'll show people that article coming up. But I want to go ahead and go to our guest to tell folks the story of what happened. And we also have the links to the full video up on Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com. You can go to their website. It's fitwatch.blogspot.com. They also have the video from YouTube of their arrest from the police. We're going to show you a little bit of that coming up. So, again, from fitwatch.blogspot.com, I appreciate Emily Apple and Val Swain for coming on the show with us today. Ladies, you have a lot of courage putting up with your secret police and being tortured by them.
Thank you. Hello.
You bet. It's good to have you. So which one is Emily?
I'm Emily.
Okay, and then Val Swain. Were you both tortured and choked, or was it just Emily?
Well, I think Emily had a bit of a rougher deal than I did on that particular occasion, but we have fallen foul of the police on a few occasions for sort of getting in the way of their surveillance.
Okay. Describe for folks then what your group does, because we do something similar. It's a cop watch, but you specifically watch the surveillance cops, the secret police. So you were tortured for that and arrested last year. Again, tell folks what happened. Break it down. You got the floor.
Okay, well, they're not exactly secret police. These are overt police. They stand around with in full uniform. They're very obviously police.
But I mean, not wearing their ID is secret. But go ahead.
Well, sure, but I mean,
and by secret police generally are. It's not just the secretness; they're called secret. Is it they're going after people that aren't committing crimes? They're the thought police, the commissariat.
Well, that's right. I mean, we know that they take photographs, they film demonstrations, and we know that information ends up on police databases and databases that we've got no one has any access to, and no one has any ability to check, and nobody knows quite what is done with that data.
Yeah, this is like the Savak or the Gestapo or the NKVD. Please continue.
So we set up the Fit Watch a couple of years ago just to keep an eye on it and to do what we can to stop them doing what they're doing.
I think also, I mean, one of the things that they do a lot of is very overt harassment and intimidation of anyone attending protests, and certainly people they know attending protests. The way they take photography is very much in the face, with big flashes. They're designed so that people know that they're there, and they want people to be scared of them. And they if you're a known activist, they follow people around. I've been followed home on various occasions and things like that.
Absolutely. I want to get into your story, but later I want to talk about my experience of being 200 yards from Parliament in the public square, and the police were already over there saying no protest allowed. This was 3 days before the law went into effect, banning protests anywhere around Parliament. And the police came over and said, "What's your name? I'm putting you in a database." And then I learned that I have two guys that work for me, Paul Watson and Steve Watson, that live in England, that this happened to them and basically everybody they know, that everybody's being trained, that if you're even walking your dog, they come over and question you, put you in a database, and if you question them, you get tortured like you're being tortured here on the video. But tell us what happened that day. And I also noticed The Guardian got the police footage, but they show you, the thought criminal, and by secret police, they don't show the supposed public officers' faces.
No, I mean, no, they don't. They're very worried about the latest amendment to the Terrorism Act, which potentially makes it an offence to publish information about police officers. That's right. The Guardian has now buckled. The once free home of the Magna Carta. They said, oh, we're going to, because for years they would arrest you for photographing police at protest. They're trying to arrest the people, as you know, that beat the guy to death at the G20. He's delivering newspapers. They beat him to death. The cops are saying, you know, you're a terrorist if you release us, murdering him. And so they would always falsely arrest you. And so now they passed a law, and go over that code for folks if you have it, or we can pull it up, saying if you photograph police, we'll decide if it's terrorism. So now The Guardian, one of the biggest papers in the world, is scared to show the cops that tortured two housewives. Yeah, to be fair to The Guardian, though, they did publish the story, and they did a lot to get this information out. But they won't show the gods' faces. Listen, you send me the video, I'll show their stinking faces. These thugs need to be shown. These thugs are bullies, and they torture women, and I got a wife and two daughters, and I don't like it. And it's time we start getting angry at this scum. Are you angry at them choking you?
I'm very angry. I mean, all their names and links to photographs of them are on our blog. So if people want to identify them and see them properly, then they're there for everyone to see. On the Guardian point, I raised this in a piece that I wrote about the Guardian being scared of the terrorism laws. And apparently, according to The Guardian, they're not, and there are other reasons why they wouldn't show the faces of the police officers on that video, but they refuse to say what they are, so it's anyone's guess whether they're telling the truth or not on
But you're saying at your blog spot you have them. I want to put them up on screen. Put them up on screen, then thank you. Look, I apologize. I have a tendency. I have a tendency to get mad. Okay, when I see a woman getting beat up and tortured by a thug. Tell us what happened that day. I'm going to try to shut up here and not get too hot.
Well, we were there. Firstly, I don't think it makes any difference that I was a woman. I think what happened to us would have been just as bad if I was a man or a woman. I think our gender is irrelevant to it. But when I was there, we were there to monitor the policing operation. We knew that there was going to be a large amount of surveillance, and we'd been around the perimeter of the camp taking photographs and making notes of the police officers there. So when we came to the main gate, we came out of camp and started taking photographs. I was making notes of numbers, and I came up to a police officer who wasn't displaying his number. I asked him to provide it to me, and he refused, at which point I called Val over and said, can you take a photograph of this guy, please, because I want to make a complaint. And her first shot was blocked, and then within seconds she was being dragged across the road, and I was being thrown on the floor along with a third friend of mine.
Now, I was looking at his hand, I mean, and I've seen this up close with other demonstrators and peaceful people. Looks like he's really working it, really squeezing on those arteries. Can you describe what that was like, and how did you control yourself? Because usually people buck against that because the panic reflex comes in, and then they get to really slam your head in the ground, break some ribs, and really get the sadomasochistic pleasure they join the force for.
Well, it was very nasty, but I've experienced far worse from the police. So, in terms, it wasn't a shock to me at all that I was being treated like that.
What was he doing? It looked like he was whispering, kind of like a Jeffrey Dahmer would whisper to his prey. That he's saying something to you while he does it.
He was just telling me to walk or sit down or whatever he wanted me to do at the time.
Okay. How hard was he squeezing your arteries?
Oh, very hard. It was very painful.
So have you filed on him for assaulting you?
Yeah, the complaints that we've made to the IPCC, the independent police complaints, is to do with the assault and also to do with the imprisonment because we were refused bail and kept in prison for 4 days.
Now, you weren't even resisting him, but he still did that to you. And then when they have you, you're on the ground. They're kind of slamming you and mistreating you, and I'm so embarrassed for them. I mean, this is now just normal, I guess, in the U.S. and England to just do this to people.